Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Brahmanandam Paramasukhadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasya Laksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Om. Adorations to Sadguru, who is Brahman, the giver of supreme bliss, embodiment of pure consciousness, one without a second, vast as the ether, infinite, eternal, beyond the three gunas and their modifications, the supreme preceptor. Yoga Vasistha, Upashama Prakarana, and sections we are dealing with are from 37 to 39. And here the topic is gaining insight into Jivan Mukti. Attain the goal of life. But you have to attain the goal of life not after death, in your embodied state. And then what will happen to you if you have attained enlightenment? Will your body become a stone, stuck? You are radiating only peace, pass absoluta. Or should you be experiencing the challenges of life like anybody else? And what type of activity will you be involved in? All this has to be well understood. Otherwise, mind takes an easy solution. Just attain enlightenment, I'm not the body, finished. Don't talk anymore. Body nabar. No, you have the body. As you are enlightened while in the body. So now how are you handling all the bodily realities which continue and your being established in the goal? How to be the sky as well as cloud-related sky. These same clouds catch a piece of the sky, figurative language. And as the clouds move, the little circle of the sky also moves with them. If clouds have created the illusion that they have captured the sky, then what happens as the clouds move, you see the piece of blue also going along with the sky. But all that has nothing to do with the sky. In the state of ignorance, you are like this piece of the sky being moved by your karmic process. You are moving along with your Jivatma, individual soul. It's like the patch of blue, constantly being dispatched. Enlightenment, you are the sky. And that big difference. But in both cases, the looks in the sky remains the same. The clouds are still there. Some clouds are racing, some going this way, that way. Positive, negative, all is there. Only difference that now you are not a patch of blue, you are the infinite blue. So that's the big difference between state of ignorance and state of enlightenment. Appearance has not changed. And this point is brought out through the story of devotee Prahlad. So at this stage of the story, Prahlad has entered in Nirvikalp Samadhi, and he is like a painted picture. And he continues to stay like that, and while all his kingdom suffers, nobody is there to handle it. Also, let me give you some understanding. When we talk of samadhi, advanced form of state of samadhi is not staying in one pose and allowing your mind just to stay focused on a certain object. Your mind has to become actively involved in understanding who am I. And that who am I is attained in two aspects of samadhi, antar and vahya. Antar means internal. Internal referring to your own mind, your own thoughts, your emotions, which you are subjectively you are watching. And this is called antar. It has three stages. Antar drishyanuviddha samadhi. First stage, you internalize your mind to as if you are observing your own mental process, thoughts, sakshi bhavana. The whole mind has become drishya. You are the one watching and they are being watched. Next stage, shabdanuviddha samadhi. Now as you are watching, you are developing an insight that behind all the thoughts, what is reality behind your thoughts? Behind all the watching, the drama you watch in the cinema show, what's the reality behind them? I'm using ordinary illustration. The screen is the reality. So, even though your mind is observing all the mental contents and they are what they create, and yet staying the affirmation, I am Satchidananda, I am existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute. And behind every form of thought, the reality is that Satchidananda is the reality. Just like behind every experience in your dream, your own consciousness is the reality. So, you are using Shabdanuviddha means you are using palabras, Shabd, but based on scriptural understanding. The end result going this way, internalized. First observed your mind, next you created affirmation with deep insight that behind your thought process, behind your experiences of pleasure and pain, what is the common denominator? It's experience, not pleasure and pain. And how does the experience happen? Consciousness. That consciousness is the reality, that Shabdanuviddha. Then you withdraw yourself. Just like when you practice Yoga Nidra, your body continues to have its problems. But while you are practicing it, you withdraw yourself and begin to experience a special type of exhilarating relaxation. So, even while the mind, thoughts, etc., have their own reality, practical reality, you develop a divine affirmation, just like Yoga Nidra, that all this is, and that again on a different basis, with the basis of understanding. You are not moving away from your problems just by turning your head, but by understanding that your problems are not problems. They are, all your experiences are based on mental projections. And mental projections are not reality. Reality behind your mental projections is consciousness, pure awareness. And so you end up ultimately, the goal behind this antar movement, internalized movement, nirvikalpa. Now the mind is not interfering with your vision. You have gone transcendental. If at all you describe it, aham brahma. Same is applied now in Vedantic practice. The practice is not dependent upon just sitting in one position, because all this can be done in one position. For advanced people, they can be done in any position. But now coming to another level, when you are not sitting, you are dealing with the world constantly in your active hours. Even in that state, you practice samadhi in three ways. Drishyanuvid, look at things, but use your deeper understanding. Things are real on the basis of your senses. Be a sensitive person, not a senseless person. And even though you're watching, have the deep understanding that all this is real in relation to your brain. They are not real in themselves. The whole world is Maya. Next, Shabdanuvid. Now use palabras, come to another level. All that you are seeing is appearances based on divine awareness, Brahman. So nothing that you are seeing is not just essenceless vision. Every perception, behind every perception, God is shining through it. Atma is shining. And there is nowhere in the world where the Atman, the self, is not there. So that's called Shabdanuvid, Antar Shabdanuvid. First, Vahya Drishyanuvid. You are simply looking at the world. Even at this stage, you bring to your mind that all these objects, how wonderful they look. That wonder, try to consider the lilies of the field. How do they grow? Allow your mind to open up to the vast world that is constantly presenting amazing glory of God. In the Gita, this is brought into Vibhuti Yoga. Look at the world as Vibhutis of God, God's glory is spilled everywhere. And coming to the next level, Shabdanuvid, all the glory that you are seeing is of divine self. And that divine self is I am. So now you have put into another level. It's called Shabdanuvid. And then you go beyond the verbalization, nirvikal. So 6 forms of samadhi, 3 bahya, 3 antar, internal, watching your thoughts as a sakshi, having spiritual affirmation, who am I, with words, and entering into silence, an internalized movement leading you to samadhi. Externalized movement, looking at the world. And you are feeling joyous that these are Ghat Ghat Mein Hai Sai Ramata. In every name and form, God is there. You're not looking at a boring world. And come to another level. God is expressing through this world. And that God, and I am Brahman. So now come to more profounder level. Look at me, the I am. You little ego, get out. I'm a real I am. All this I am, shining in the sun, pouring down cooling rays through the moon, surging in the ocean, sustaining countless Brahmandas, countless stars and planets, and many, many more, many things more. So, and all this now ends up nothing to say. Mind completely relaxes. And that state becomes your deeper identity, real identity. And that's called Jivan Mukti. Figure that out. And all this I have said at the highest climax. Your movement is gradual. So you don't have to be upset if you don't get all of it. But this is the project before anyone who wants to be a Jivan Mukta. Following this story now, in the absence of the king, chaos began to prevail in the kingdom. The weak were oppressed by the strong. Enemies began to destroy the cities, and the palatial buildings began to be demolished. This is a storyline, but what does it say? It means your enlightened state creates order, encourages all souls to follow the path of dharma. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. Krishna says to Arjuna, whenever dharma diminishes, I incarnate. This I incarnation is not limited to avatars. It's everyone who attains enlightenment is an avataran of God. And his role is as to allow order to come in. Dharma should not go backward. In your purushartha, self-effort, you have dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Dharma must be the foundation of life's progress. If society chooses not to have dharma as the basis, but only material means, artha, by hook or by crook, more by crook than by hook, then the world around you, you are suppose you are very enlightened and the world around you is going into a torturous state. The fact is, your enlightenment creates a radiation of vibrations, radiation of inspiring process that touches the minds of countless people in different levels and brings about awakening of dharma. People, all of them suddenly don't become changed by magic, but they receive sufficient material that will go on helping them through the example of the sage, through his teachings. You think of Shankaracharya, how many people have been inspired and continue to be inspired. Think of any divine enlightened sage. And Shankaracharya says the world is absolutely false. Snake on the rope. And that he went on telling from one place to another. With a perfectly planned project. And what happens? Surprisingly, followers of Shankaracharya, I'm talking about those who are not healthy, they stick to his words. You have nothing to do with the world. Just get to sannyasa. The world has nothing to do with you. Get away. Shankaracharya didn't teach that. He taught people with great interest to enlighten them. And he created centers that will go on helping people to understand the scriptures. The idea is one who attains that enlightenment, all is Brahman. Doesn't mean he becomes physically so inactive and quiet. And that for him there's no need to do anything, because all is Brahman. That is wrong. That point is being brought out in this, through the lips of Lord Vishnu himself. While reclining upon the conch of Shesha serpent of the storyline, Lord Vishnu reflected thus: if King Prahlad is not awakened from samadhi, the world will suffer a great loss. There will be increasing disorder and disharmony. Demons who contribute to the balance of forces in the world will be destroyed. And this will affect the harmony of the universe. This is another riddle. Generally you think that when God incarnates, he destroys all the demons. He incarnates for the destruction of demons. But in this context, the Lord is saying that if dharma is not pursued, if dharma is not put into order, the balance of forces will be destroyed. What I'm leading to, he is saying that demoniac set will not have their existence. Or if they exist, they are not doing their duties properly. They will be all distorted. And if demons don't exist doing their duties, nobody can attain enlightenment. Because everything you learn when you have encountered a little toe or the finger of a demon. Challenges are presented, and your own mind, you go on discovering what is demoniac, what is not. So the idea that demoniac spirits will be completely destroyed by any sage. That's not correct. The idea is just like for attaining health, the idea that all bacteria will be destroyed. How can you live? And bad bacteria must follow the science. Then they can be controlled. So, dharma process means the negativity and positivity both perk up in their performance. And automatically, if dharma becomes powerful, as you lead it, the negativity begins to be sublimated. For one who has attained enlightenment, negativity is finished. But those who have not attained enlightenment, they need resistance before them for their progress. Even science says if you walk on the earth or any platform where there is absolutely no resistance, you will slip on endlessly. Thank God for resistance. If the demons are destroyed, the gods will become contented. That's another problem. If you become contented by developing virtuous qualities, and allow your virtues for enjoying pleasures of the senses, that's where in that context God's terms have been used. That's the Swarga, heavenly gods. They are not interested in liberation. Their role is to go after bhoga, enjoyment. But the higher role of gods, while giving bhoga, enjoyment, they don't want to be captured and controlled by the demons. Virtue should not be controlled by negativity. So gods are always active because the negativity is around them. If that activity will not be there, gods will plunge into bhoga. That's what Lord Vishnu is saying. He's worried about demoniac race that is going to lose all its balance and all its culture. And if demoniac race doesn't perform their function, gods will lose their goal, their purpose. Heavenly gods are meant to communicate with human beings. Human beings offer their oblations. Gods pick up those oblations and they become stronger by the oblations. So even though the heaven has lots of pleasure going on, they keep their head little higher, not sink in the ocean of pleasure. So without demons, gods become lazy. And if that happens, human offerings will have no fulfillment. Let me therefore awaken Prahlad from his samadhi. It took him so much. Being enlightened, he will perform his duties until the end of his prarabdha karma. Simple point. Yes. Jivan Mukta continues to do his duty towards the world until his karma over. Then he becomes Videha Mukta. And while performing his duties, he will continue to abide in the boundless self. And though he goes on performing his duties in the world, he is beyond the world. Though he is possessing the body, he is Videha, bodiless. That's what Janaka was called Videha. Thus, having decided, Lord Vishnu, the deity pervading over the three worlds, appeared before King Prahlad. He was riding on the divine Garuda. Garuda bird is Lord Vishnu's bird. Garuda point I have explained to you. It's that type of strength that allows the soul to develop immense power. First stage of Garuda is Garva. You become proud of yourself. The pride again is not always bad. You are doing good things and a special pride enters. That's called Garva. And from that Garva comes Garuda. And Garuda and Guru again, they are all similar. So the same root letter is being highlighted in this context of Guru, Garva, Garuda. And that is the vehicle of Lord Vishnu. And from practical point, Garuda is a powerful bird, eagle bird, extremely powerful. Lord Vishnu blew on the conch, known as Panchajanya, and inspired King Prahlad to awaken into normal consciousness. All this is allegorical. Lord Vishnu now awakens Prahlad from slipping into complete inactivity. That's just to give a lesson to the people who are studying Yoga Vasistha. Consequently, like the rising Ganges, the pranas began to pulsate at the crown of his head. His Sahasrara chakra began to operate. And all the nectar from the Sahasrara chakra, like pouring of the Ganges, began to sweep over his whole personality. And soon they permeated the body of the King Prahlad. Just as a withering plant is revived with a shower of rain, so too King Prahlad's body was revived by the inflow of pranas. King Prahlad thus came to normal consciousness. Subtle point is what he was in was not normal. He was going a wrong way. To the awakened Prahlad, Lord Vishnu said, O monarch of the demons, there is no need for you to destroy this physical body. One who is enlightened doesn't court death. The question of death, first question is, it is not in your control. Death is bound to be for anyone who is embodied. But those who are not enlightened, death is a reality and constantly haunts the mind. To the enlightened, death is not a reality because he is not the body. If you are the body, yes, birth is a reality, death is a reality, growth is a reality, Aging is a reality. But you are not the body. There are nothing of this is real. And you are enlightened only because you have realized I am not the body. So how can you be affected by death? For enlightened soul, death has no reality. For body, death is always real. You are meant to rule the world until the end of the present kalpa. That's a storyline. The real meaning behind it, you living in the body, you are ruling over the body. Ruling in the sense that body will not overpower you. Body will not handicap your power, progress, experience. And from practical point of view, the body of a sage becomes a powerful channel of presenting to the world the essence of all scriptures, more profoundly than the scriptures themselves. The teaching is as you see in the pages of the book, and the teachings that you see expressing through the life of enlightened sages. It's a big difference. Continue performing your duty with the enlightened vision that all is the self. Those who possess agitated minds, who are ever pierced by the arrows of miseries, are fit to die, because their death alone promotes their spiritual evolution. Fit to die has to be understood. Fit to die means they need to die in order to progress. If you have lived your life just under the control of your agitated minds and gone on suffering from misery after misery without finding a way out of how to end miseries, if that interest is not in you, then you are bound to be born again and again. Because it is by being born, you are being led by nature to process of evolution. Those who believe that they are nothing but their physical bodies, who are identified with the mortal personality, they deserve to die. For in their case, death promotes their evolution, presented in the form of a beautiful poetry that rhymes with. Such a person deserves to die. Those who are fettered by the ropes of desires and who are driven by the whims of the mind, they deserve to die. And you are being given also the subtle insight, what leads you to fear of death, and what makes you suffer from abhinivesh klesha. That means death terrorizes everyone. And what's the cause behind it? The basic cause is avidya, kama, karma, three granthis, knots of the heart. Karmic granthi, you are led by karma. And karma-based experience is in the realm of time and space. And all that experience is kind of a mirage. Nothing is substantial. So karma granthi is removed by karma yoga. Kama granthi, you are constantly involved with lots of desires. Some desires are put into your box, some are active. But you are always dealing with kama, desires. And your goal is to be desireless. So as long as desires have not found their resolution, you have to live. Third granthi is called avidya, ignorance. As long as your mind is going after worldly knowledge, you are going to die because the world is not finished. Those who have allowed cravings to rob them of their discriminative wisdom. So what happens when a mind becomes too involved with pleasures of the senses and increasing desires, because pleasures never satisfy you, mind develops more and more eagerness to have more objects of pleasure. Mind plays foxy role. So those who have allowed the cravings to rob them of their discriminative knowledge and who have been assailed by numerous afflictions, they deserve to die. Those who have allowed the creeper of their mind to entwine their consciousness with attachment and hatred, raga dvesha, they play such a big role that your consciousness is never normal. You are suffering from raga or from dvesha. But in order to be normal, you have to be in between, neither raga nor dvesha. Then your consciousness, your understanding goes after your real who am I. Otherwise, I am in you is waiting. False I am is dancing everywhere. So those who have allowed the creeper of their mind to entwine their consciousness with attachment and hatred, which are decked with the flowers and fruits of pleasure and pain. And this creeper of illusion is filled with fruits of pleasure and pain. Those who have allowed all this to happen, they deserve to die. That's the rhyming, deserve to die. For death will lead to rebirth, and they will continue to reincarnate until they attain enlightenment. He's not being punished, but the divine plan is loving to the soul. You're not satisfied, didn't learn that lesson, all right, we give you another portion. Those who have allowed the storms of passion to agitate the tree of their personality and who have fostered the fire of mental and physical diseases in their being, they deserve to die. He who has harbored in his body the terrible python of anger, which yawns for prey. He who maintains within his heart the hissing snake of desire, worldly desire, for him it is worthwhile to die. As long as there is identification with the body, death is inevitable. If you are the body, then you are going to die. But when the identification has been removed, you are not the body. How can you die? A reflected sun in a jar of water is going to lose the jar. And if jar is what the reflected sun, I am the jar, it is going to die. And the reflected sun has to move into another jar. O Prahlad, he who beholds the world with a vision that is not refracted by attachment and hatred, this jnana drishti. If you have the vision of intuitional knowledge, there is nothing here to love or to hate. If at all this is Brahman himself. To put it in a more practical way, when you begin to allow your mind to compose itself without the swing of like and dislike, that gives you a channel leading to the revelation, who am I? And that's what Yoga Vasistha has said in the beginning, that opens the gateway, the gatekeeper, shama, serenity. Real joy of your mind is natural. It comes from your own heart, from the soul. The joy that makes your whole face begin to shake and your teeth begin to be brisk. As well as sorrow, joy and sorrow. Sorrow that makes all the prana move away from your face. And your whole nervous system begins to develop stress. If that is happening, then you have no room, no spot for directing your attention to your goal. But when a mind is, to a great extent, remains balanced during conditions of pleasure and pain, even for a short duration, then you begin to enjoy a type of happiness that is so simple, that's called serenity, shama, calm mind. Another point, shama has a twin brother, samadhan. Samadhan means tranquility. Tranquility means do not let your mind be agitated because so many things are happening in the world, internally, externally. And that's Upanishad brings it out in a poetic way. Tapanto na nindyat tadvratam. It becomes too hot. Don't go on crying. This is so hot, it's so hot. Calm yourself. Go to your refrigerator. Sit in your room. And look through your window. All the trees are receiving immense energy from the sun. And countless benefits are coming from the sun's rays. So enjoy the feeling of all that is happening. Instead of complaining against too much heat. Varshanto na nindyat. If it starts raining, people start complaining, lamunga, lamunga. Suffering from flu. From practical point of view, keep yourself in a warm condition. But don't go on criticizing, don't keep your mind focused on how miserable it is. This cold has its own effect, and it's needed for the world and so many things. But this is just allegorical. Any situation that seems to disturb you so much, stay quiet, understand, learn lesson from it, what has caused it, and a deeper understanding that every situation is an opportunity for you to discover your intelligence, your strength, an amazing act of grace. All this and your being related to God becomes possible only through challenging circumstances. O Prahlad, he who beholds the world with a vision that's not refracted by attachment and hatred, for him there is no death. He deserves to live eternally for the eternal self. Jivitam yasya shobhate. Now again, set of poetic language rhyming with Jivitam yasya shobhate. Living for them is glorious. Their life shines. Those who possess these qualities of Jivan Mukta, their life shines. Those who don't possess, they deserve to die. Those who possess the qualities, they deserve to live eternally. Those who don't, they deserve to die. So through death they will go on evolving, they learn lessons. And with this I will conclude. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukuma Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kashchid Dukbhag Bhavet Om Shanti. Om Shri Ramaya Namah Om Namah Shivaya Om Aim Saraswatyai Namah Om Shanti.